Most people assume financial freedom begins the day their income finally crosses a certain number. But here is what no one mentions. The very month my income crossed that number is the month I lost the most ground financially. And when I finally understood why everything I thought I knew about building wealth collapsed, I want to take you back to a version of my life that looked, from the outside, like progress. I was working, getting promoted, earning more every year, the kind of trajectory that is supposed to lead somewhere. But underneath that trajectory was a quiet financial leak I had no name for. Every time my income grew, something else grew faster. My rent, my car, my subscriptions, my standard of living. And because the upgrades felt earned, I never questioned them. The result? Years of increasing income with almost no movement in my actual net worth. Research from the Federal Reserve confirms this is not rare. Millions of high-income households carry low net worth precisely because spending expands alongside earnings, a phenomenon behavioral economists call lifestyle inflation. I was not behind because I earned too little. I was behind because I kept spending my way to zero. This is where my real financial story begins. Let me take you back to the beginning. I was young.
I had a job.
I had a plan, or at least I thought I did. I was working in banking, earning somewhere between $33,000 and $36,000 a year. By most measures, that was modest. Not impressive. Certainly not the kind of number you brag about at dinner. But here's what nobody tells you about that season of life. I was actually doing better than I knew. My apartment was small, but it was paid on time, every month. My car was a used Honda Civic, 1997. Nothing impressive. No leather seats.
No backup camera.
But it was paid off. Zero monthly payment. Zero financing. Just mine. My monthly expenses were low. Controlled.
Quiet.
And because of that, I had something most people with twice my salary did not have. Positive cash flow. Every month, more money came in than went out. That gap, small as it was the foundation of everything. Now here's the financial principle that most people never learn until it's too late. Cash flow matters more than income. This is not an opinion. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, has studied household wealth across 38 countries and found that saving rates and spending discipline are stronger predictors of long-term wealth than income level alone. You can earn more than your neighbor and still fall behind if your expenses grow faster than your income.
I didn't know that research then.
But I was living the right side of it by accident. Then the promotion came. My income jumped from $36,000 to $50,000 a year. That is a 39% increase in a single step. I remember the feeling. It felt like altitude, like the financial ceiling had lifted, like things were finally going to be different. And they were about to be different. Just not in the way I expected. But the moment my income increased, I made the financial mistake that millions of people make every single year. The first thing I did with my raise was upgrade my car. Not recklessly, not extravagantly, just reasonably. I traded the Honda Civic for a BMW 3 Series. It made sense at the time. I was earning more. I was a professional. I worked in banking. The car felt appropriate. What I didn't understand was this. I had just traded a financial asset, a paid-off vehicle, for a monthly liability. A fixed payment every month for years on a depreciating object. But it didn't feel like a loss. It felt like progress. That's the mechanics of something behavioral economists call hedonic adaptation. Research from Princeton University, part of the same body of work that produced Nobel Prize-winning insights on human decision-making, found that people rapidly normalize higher living standards. The new car becomes the normal car. The bigger apartment becomes the expected apartment. And once a new standard becomes normal, you stop feeling its benefit and start wanting the next level. The promotions kept coming. 50,000 became 6 figures. The 3 Series became a 5 Series. The apartment became a house. The monthly expenses quietly multiplied. From the outside, and I want you to hear this carefully, from the outside, it looked like success. Luxury car. larger home, six-figure salary. The markers were all there. But internally, the structure was fragile. Savings, low. Investments, minimal. Net worth, barely moving. Here is the number that should have alarmed me but didn't because I wasn't looking at it. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, among households earning between $75,000 and $100,000 annually, the median net worth is approximately $230,000. But households in the same income range who consistently invest even 10% of income accumulate net worth 2 to 3 times higher over a 15-year period. I was in that first group, earning more, building less. The income was real. The lifestyle was real. The appearance of wealth was real. The wealth itself was not. And that's when I discovered something terrifying. My income had tripled, but my wealth hadn't moved at all. One day, I sat down and looked at the actual numbers. Not my salary, not my monthly take-home, the actual numbers. Assets, liabilities, net worth. And what I found was this. After years of promotions, after a salary that had grown significantly from where I started, after every upgrade, every car, every lease, every square foot of additional living space, my net worth had barely moved from where it was when I was earning $36,000 a year. Let me say that again so it lands properly. Years of income growth. Almost no wealth growth. This is the difference that most people never learn to distinguish, and it is the difference that changes everything. Income is what flows in. Net worth is what you keep. The Credit Suisse Research Institute, one of the most comprehensive trackers of global household wealth, publishes findings confirming that long-term financial security correlates far more strongly with assets owned than with income earned. In their Global Wealth Report, they note that asset accumulation rates diverge sharply between households that invest and those that consume, regardless of similar income levels. I had been consuming. Every raise had been converted, almost immediately, into a higher monthly expense, a nicer car, a larger mortgage, a lifestyle that expanded to absorb every dollar of new income. And the biggest single example was sitting in my driveway, the car. Let me show you the math, because this is where abstraction becomes reality. A financed vehicle at $700 per month over 60 months costs $42,000 plus interest. But that same $700 invested monthly in a diversified index fund earning a conservative 7% annual return becomes approximately $59,000 after just 7 years. Over 20 years, it becomes $340,000. Over 30 years, $850,000. That is the Vanguard compounding model. It is not a theory. It is arithmetic. The Vanguard Group's long-term investment research consistently demonstrates that the primary driver of wealth is not the size of the initial investment. It is the consistency of the contribution and the length of time it compounds. I had been financing the wrong thing. Every car payment was a direct withdrawal from my future net worth. The realization wasn't dramatic. There was no single moment of collapse. It was quieter than that, a slow, cold clarity spreading across a spreadsheet I had been afraid to open. And then I made a decision. I made a decision that completely changed my financial life. The decision I made was not complicated. It was not a new investment strategy or a secret system. It was a principle, one that sounds almost too simple to be powerful. My lifestyle would no longer grow with my income. That's it. Whatever I was spending before the next promotion, I would continue spending after it. The gap between my income and my lifestyle would widen, and everything in that gap would be directed toward one purpose: building assets. I started with the car. I got out of the financed vehicle. I found a reliable, paid-off car and drove it without apology. I reduced my housing costs. I eliminated the debt that was bleeding cash every month. And then I started investing the surplus. Not the leftovers. The majority. The formula I began operating from was this: income minus lifestyle equals investment capital. Investment capital multiplied by time equals wealth. This is not a motivational slogan. It is the mathematical structure underneath every significant wealth-building story in modern financial research. The Journal of Financial Planning has published data showing that households maintaining lifestyles spending below 40% of gross income while investing the remainder reach financial independence on average 11 years earlier than median-income households that do not. 11 years. The mindset shift was harder than the math, because the culture around me was sending a constant signal. Your income is an invitation to spend. Every bank, every car dealer, every mortgage lender, every credit card company was built to help me convert income into consumption as efficiently as possible. What I was building instead was the opposite of consumption. I was buying assets, things that generated money, rather than absorbed it. Small ownership positions, index funds, eventually partial ownership in businesses. Not exciting, not visible, not the kind of thing you post about. But here is what began to happen. The assets began producing cash flow. Quietly, slowly, then more consistently. The transformation was not a moment. It was months, then years. Each month the investment balance grew slightly more than the month before. The compounding effect, the same arithmetic I had been sabotaging for years through car payments, was finally working in my direction. The less I upgraded my lifestyle, the faster the number grew. And that gap between who I was becoming financially and who I appeared to be from the outside became the most important gap I had ever created. And something strange started happening. The less I upgraded my lifestyle, the faster my wealth started growing. After years of quiet discipline, years of driving the unremarkable car, living in the modest space, investing the surplus month after month, the financial structure underneath my life changed completely. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but irreversibly. The assets I had been building began generating income. Not income from effort. Not income from time traded for money. Income from ownership. From systems I had invested in that now ran without my direct labor. That distinction matters more than almost anything else I can tell you. There are two ways to earn money. You can sell your time, and the moment you stop working, the money stops. Or you can own systems, and the systems earn whether you are working or not. Most people spend their entire careers perfecting the first method. Wealth is built by transitioning, even partially, to the second. The formula is not complicated. Income minus lifestyle equals investment capital. Investment capital multiplied by time equals wealth. This is not motivational language. It is the operating structure of every financially independent person I have ever studied. A compound interest, the mechanism at the heart of long-term investing, is what Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. Whether or not he said it, mathematics deserves that description. The OECD's research on household wealth accumulation shows that the most significant variable separating wealthy households from income-equivalent non-wealthy households is not their salary, not their inheritance, not their industry. It is the length of time their money has been invested without interruption. Time is the variable that no amount of income can replace. Let me show you how ordinary this can be, because the numbers are worth hearing clearly. A person who invests $500 per month beginning at age 25 in a diversified portfolio returning 7% annually will have approximately $1.3 million by age 65. If that same person waits until age 35 to begin investing the identical amount at the identical return, they end with approximately $630,000. 10 years of delay costs nearly $700,000. Not because of investment skill, because of time. The final realization I want to leave you with is this. Most people never reach financial independence, not because they earn too little. Most people never reach financial independence because they upgrade their lifestyle too quickly, and in doing so, they eliminate the one ingredient that wealth cannot be built without. The gap between what comes in and what goes out, left to compound over time. You do not need a higher salary to begin. You need a lower lifestyle cost relative to what you already earn. The gap, however small, is where wealth begins. And here's the part that is almost impossible to see from the outside. The person building quiet wealth and the person performing visible success can look identical for years. They drive similar cars. They live in comparable homes. The difference is entirely invisible until it isn't, until one of them is free. So, if you want to know the real secret to building wealth, the answer might be sitting in your garage right now.